Hi, welcome to my channel. It's been a while, but today I want to speak about why I decided to become a podcaster, even though I know that podcasting is for Africans or for Ghana. And I say Ghana because I'm not so sure about other African countries, but I'm very sure of Ghana. That podcasting is not a traditional thing for Ghana. Currently, we can only speak of few people who are into traditional podcasting. For Ghana, for instance, they do a lot of shows. They do interviews and news interviews and all those things. But there's a difference between podcasting from what we normally do in Ghana, actually. And why do I even want to do this when I know that it will be very difficult for hearing or audience for this? I have three reasons why I do this. But in an actual fact, it is not that Ghanaians don't really listen to podcasts. They do. But most of the people that they listen to are not people who are Ghanaians. Actually, most of them are from outside Ghana, like a lot of British podcasters, American podcasters, and all those things. They listen to those people rather than people who do it internally in Ghana, because we don't have a lot of people doing that in Ghana. In our environment right now, they are coming up. I mean, they are coming up. Like I have started. There are other people who have also started before me. I can mention few people who are doing podcasting actually, but I know that it will grow. But why do I even want to do this, or why did I even start this thing, podcasting, in the first place? Because I live in America, and to get a job in America is not difficult like it is in Ghana. I'm a Scrum Master, and the least pay of a Scrum Master is about $6,000 or $7,000 a month, which is a lot, which is not a small amount of money. So doesn't mean that I don't have a job or I don't have anything to do, and that is why I got into podcasting. But there are three reasons why I moved into podcasting. Number one is to heal. Most of you who have listened to my podcast before and have followed me for a while will understand that I've said several times that I had stroke in 2019, which means that I could not speak, I could not understand, I could not comprehend. It was very difficult for me to hear. When you speak to me, I have to listen to you for more than 10 or 15 times before I will be able to understand what you are trying to say. I could not communicate with people. And it has been like that since 2019. It has been like that until 2023. So you can imagine how long it took for me to really recover. I could not speak. I lost my memory, so I could not speak. I can't speak English. That is one of the things. I could speak my language a little bit. I could speak my own language a little bit, but I could not speak English. But I live in America. The environment or the community I live in, I cannot speak my language. Nobody really understands my language. So I have to speak English. And so I have to work it out to make sure that I begin to speak again and understanding again. And so I decided to speak out by force. And so podcasting became like a therapy for me. I started writing my ideas started my experiences. I started writing things, everything that comes to my mind. I started writing it. It takes very long for me to write because even spelling was very difficult for me to spell and all that. But I managed to, within a week, I've been able to write a script, and then I read them and record them as podcasts. Amazingly, you can, those of you who have followed me from the beginning, you can tell that it's a very big difference and improvement from when I started to now. As I speak to you, I'm not fully recovered. I'm not fully recovered, but it's way better than 2019, 2020, 2021, and even 2023. There's a very big difference in my speech, my understanding, my comprehension, and I can speak and I can understand people. I can communicate with people now. So podcasting has been a very big thing for me that has really helped me personally to recover. Number two is to tell my story and to help others to tell their story. One thing I know for sure that almost everybody has a story. Everybody has a story. Everybody has a story. Something has happened to you. It doesn't matter whether you are from a poor place or a rich place or the environment that you come from. There's a story you wanted to share with somebody. It might be academics, it might be health, it might be your relationship, your career, and so on and so forth. Everybody has stories. People have stories with their transitioning from one country to another, especially for those of us from Africa. How things were when we were in Africa and how things have turned out to be in America or England or Canada or wherever that you are living in. So everybody has a story. And so podcasting helps me and helps other people to be able to share their story, to tell their story. Career, people will tell their story, how they started. Somebody became a professor, somebody became a doctor, somebody became a lawyer, somebody became a businessman, an entrepreneur, how he started. Somebody wanted to become like that. So you will hear the stories, motivates you to keep pushing. You see, it helps you to also keep pushing. So that is one thing about podcasting. You see, it really helps. And I honestly tell you, my people, those of you who don't really like reading, I mean, people who don't really read a lot, you are losing a lot. You are losing a lot. But if you listen to, because I mean, there are a lot of things that we do. I've always been saying this thing. You can use all your time on Facebook or YouTube or TikTok or whatever, and all the things that you follow are entertainment. Sometimes, at least give some time for very serious stories, very serious issues. And most of these things are in podcasts. I have shared several stories. I have listened to amazing stories ever since I started podcast. You see, I have interviewed amazing people within a matter of 4 months. When I started interviewing people, I have been able to listen to amazing stories that you might not hear. You might not hear easily here. You understand? People have stories, and so one thing I will encourage you is to also listen to podcasts. You see, listen to podcasts. Not my podcast alone, but they are amazing podcasters. Whether the person is Ghanaian or Nigerian or English or American or whatever, just listen to podcasting, and you hear amazing stories, things that you'll be able to relate to. You see, and it will change your life. Honestly, it will change your life. So I also went into podcasting because of the stories. I wanted to share my story and help others to also share their story. The last one and the biggest of it all is to be free. It's to be free. And somebody will say, what are you talking about? I wanted to experience liberty. I wanted to do something on my own. I wanted to work for myself. I wanted to committed with something that I will believe that this is my own thing. You see, I've been working all my life, and if you work as an employee, you know that we all know the stories. There are places that you work, it's good, it's very nice environment, you like it and all that. There are other places that you work, there are a lot of toxic and a lot of issues here and there. And I don't want to be always worried with such a thing. I don't want to. I live in America, and the season is when I was in Ghana, we don't care so much about the season, We don't care so much about the season because almost the whole year is hot, you understand? But in America, it's not like that. When it's summer, you know that it's summer. When it's winter, you know that it's winter. When it's spring, you know that it's spring, you see? And sometimes transitioning from one season to another is very difficult, and especially when you work as an employee. You work, let's say, I used to work at a place where I go to work at 6. I have to be at work at 6 a.m. And so I have to leave home at around 5:30 or something like that. And it's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing. You have to wake up. You have to wake up and all that. And suddenly you are like, oh my God, when is that going to end? You see, you ask yourself, when is that going to end? And I started thinking, when am I going to work on my own? When am I going to manage my own time? You see, when am I going to do something on my own? So when I got to know about podcasting, I realized that, if I commit myself into this thing, it will be something that I can work for a very long time because I love it. I love cameras. I love editing. I love to listen to people speak. I love to listen to people talk and tell their stories and their experiences. I love it. You see, I really love it. And those of you who don't know what this thing is, and sometimes, because I've spoken with few people and they are like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Podcasting. What are you doing? If you don't know, then you don't know. But it's a big thing. It's a big thing. I'm not around to go and tell you this is a big thing. If you are interested and if you are interested in podcasting, you can read about it and you can see how much people who are people who are big podcasters and globally, and how much money they are making in podcasting, and you can see that it's a very rewarding career. It's a very rewarding career. Like I said, everything that you do in life has a start. And I've said this thing in the podcast before. Everything that you do in life had a start. And so when you just start something, it's not going to be smooth. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be rosy from the beginning. You see, when I first started a podcast, sometimes I had 1 or 2 people listen. The YouTube, sometimes I don't have anybody watch my podcast. Nobody. I didn't care. I just kept doing it. Kept doing it. And now I'm having a lot of people watching my podcast. You see, watching my podcast. On Facebook, I'm having a number of people are watching and people are listening. Sometimes people don't really comment because when people are not commenting, doesn't mean that It doesn't mean that they don't really like it or they don't um, listen or something. One thing I've realized is that if you are just new, people don't really know you so much. People will not come in and comment and all that, and they don't know you so much. It takes a while until they begin to be comfortable with you, know you properly, and so you have to keep doing it for a while. And so that is one thing I've known. This is for those of you who are also doing podcasting and this. I mean, I've not been doing podcasting for a very long time. I've just started, but within a short time, I'm sharing my story and my experiences, and I'm telling those who are also learning and people who really want to get into it. I mean, I'm telling you, it's not going to be easy. It's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing because everybody has his own journey. Everybody has his own journey. It depends on what you're talking about and what you are speaking about. It doesn't mean, and it also depends on where you are coming from. There are podcasters who just started and they had a lot of people listening to them within a short time. But relationship might be different from yours. I started podcasting. Nobody knows me. Nobody knows me. I'm just brand new. Nobody knows me at all. So somebody's like, who are you? Who is this? Who's that? Yes, and I understand that. But there are people somebody who has been on radio for a while. People knows you for a very long time. You see, somebody like Jessica. She used to be a radio host in Ghana, and she's doing well on YouTube. She's doing very well on YouTube. She has been a major personality in Ghana for that long, you see. And so transitioning from that to YouTube, even though she also had her own story, it will be different from mine, honestly. It will be different from mine. And so that is a different story. So you have to believe in yourself and know what do I want to do. And there are times, sometimes people who knows you, people who are close to you, people you communicate with, friends and all that, the kind of things that they will say may discourage you. Sometimes you will feel like, oh, let me close these cameras and all those things and stop what I'm doing and get into something else. Because somebody will come and tell you that what you are doing is not like that. You are not supposed to do that, and you're supposed to do it. And it's good to share your idea with somebody, but sometimes the way you say it discourages the person who is doing it, as if what you are doing is stupid. You see. But the issue is that I always say something. My ideas are different from yours. If I'm doing something, because I am the one doing it, I sleep with it. I wake with it. I walk with it. Every time I'm thinking about it, what to do to make sure that the thing works. You don't do that. That's not what you're doing. So you don't think about it. You don't care so much about it. You don't think about it like me. You see, even though you might have an idea about this, you don't have that feeling for that thing. So speaking with you within 1 hour or 2 hours, don't think that your 1 hour or 2 hours is more smart. It's more smart than me that I've been thinking about it every day. No. That is a very poor way of thinking. You see? Because if you also get into it, you also understand that it's not an easy thing. So for those who speaks and talks, I mean, you can change them. But for those of you who want to get into this or who's doing it, you have to guard yourself and listen to yourself and your listening. When you are doing something, you should be the first person. You should be the biggest, and then the first person and the biggest person who should be telling yourself. You should be telling yourself what you should be doing. You should know what you want to do. Don't think that somebody will be smarter or will be thinking of telling you what to do. No, that is something that is wrong. And you should rather look at people who are ahead of you people who are ahead of you, because somebody who's not doing it, he doesn't know what he's talking about. You see, he might say something that might help you, but he still doesn't know what he's talking about. But people who are doing it, people who are ahead of you, you should be looking at. Those are the people you should be looking at. You see, these are the people you should be looking at. I'm saying this thing because I've experienced this. I've experienced this several times within a short period that I've started this thing. I've experienced this several times. That is it. So these are some of the reasons why I went into podcasting, and I will encourage you people. For those of you who sees my podcast and everything, please, they are good stuff. They are good stuff. I'm telling you, they are good stuff. And I'll encourage you to subscribe to my channel and listen to me. One thing about podcasting is that podcasting is not something that because it's a long thing. It's long. Most podcasters are very long. Podcasters are 2 hours, 3 hours. Some of them are 3 hours. So the whole 3 hours has been posted on Facebook or YouTube. And it's not that easy for you to be listening to 3 hours at the same time. The longest podcast that I've actually posted is about 1 hour 40 minutes. Yes. I try to make it short, but the shortest podcasts I've seen is 45 minutes. 45 minutes or 40 minutes. You see, most podcasts are very long. You see, and traditionally, it's not video. It's just audio. And people download on their drives and on their phone and all that, and they listen to it. So while they are driving, they are listening to it. So that is what podcast is actually about. You see, but by God's grace, we have phones and we can see videos right now and all that. So it's not something that you'll be watching for 1 hour at a go, but 50 minutes whilst you are driving, you listen. That's how I listen podcast. Actually, I use YouTube as my main platform, and I post 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes on Facebook, and then TikTok. You see, but the whole video I put them on YouTube. But currently, I just started Spotify, and so Spotify is going to be one of my main platforms. Yes, and so when you go to Spotify, you see Reality for Real podcast. Reality for Real podcast. On YouTube, Reality for Real podcast, and on Facebook is Gabriel Adamti. TikTok, Gabriel Adamti. It used to be Gabriel Adamti, but I just changed the name to Reality for Real podcast, because the Reality for Real podcast is the main name, the real name for the podcast. But I've not been writing that, so I just changed the name from Gabriel Adamti to Reality for Real podcast. So please subscribe to the channel and follow me. There's a lot of things that we can learn. I'm telling you. The amazing stories. People tell the amazing story. People tell a lot of stories, and you will like it, honestly. So thank you very much for listening to me. That's said and done. In another episode, I'll see you again. And thank you for listening. Bye.